following is an exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the National Football League.
On this episode of the Panthers Huddle, keep pounding. Coach Frank Reich embraces Carolina's famous catchphrase as the team goes into Week 6, still looking for that first win. And the win won't come easy in Miami. Thomas Davis joins us in studio to break down a record-breaking Dolphins offense. Plus, some Panthers do their part to help brighten the day of some very deserving fans. Hello and welcome inside this Week 6 edition of the Panthers Huddle. I'm Carla Gebhardt, and the Panthers remain the only winless team in the NFL heading into Week 6. However, they left Detroit last Sunday with good news after some frightful moments at Ford Field. Rookie guard Chandler Zavala suffered a neck injury in the first quarter of Sunday's loss to the Lions. The game was put on hold for several minutes as medical personnel attended to the first-year lineman out of NC State. His concerned teammates and coaches looked on. As he was being carted off from the field, a thumbs up from Zavala gave them some hope. Thankfully, after a brief trip to a local hospital for evaluation, he was able to rejoin his teammates for the flight back to Charlotte.
From what I understand at this point, from what I've heard, it's just a really bad stinger. You know, his spirits were good. Obviously, thankful that everything checked out well, and so yeah, he's doing well.
Some very positive vibes for a team that badly needed it. No team in the NFL has ever started out 0-5 and went on to make the playoffs. If the Panthers want to make history this season, they've got a long way to go. Turnovers and costly mistakes once again help seal their fate against the surging Detroit Lions.
We understand where we're at, and it's not where we want to be, and it's not acceptable where we are. And there's a lot of growth to be done in having that mindset, because obviously we haven't been getting the results that we want, but also trying to stay positive and find the things that we can build off of, and not just glance past those, because obviously we haven't been getting the outcome that we want.
And while there are things to fix on both sides of the ball, Coach Reich echoed a familiar sentiment as they fight on.
Keep pounding, keep pounding. You get to this position and no one envisioned it. And so you have to, this is the embodiment of keep pounding.
We'll have one more shot to get a win before the bye week as we travel to Miami for a showdown with the Dolphins. A tough road game against the league's top-ranked offense.
I think Buffalo did a good job against them. I think the main thing was everybody was on the same page in their defense. So communication will be a big part as well, but the main thing is getting 11 hats to the ball.
We know they're going to put a lot of plays on the perimeter, use Tyreek, Monster at the running back, and it's going to come down to leveraging football and all 11 hats to the ball.
I say just trusting the process and just stand at it, and when it's time to click, you just got to run with it. It's not too much you can really say about it. It's just putting in the work and just hope it works out the way that we want to.
It's not the start we all dreamed of, the beginning of the off season, but I think at this point, being 0-5 and putting ourselves in the position that we're in, it's about manning up right now. Throw the record, throw the opponent out the window. Who gives a shit about that? We need to find out who the men are in this locker room. Just go compete.
Well, we all know that keep pounding is more than just a mantra on the playing field. It can apply to nearly all obstacles in life. And it all began with Hall of Famer Sam Mills' fight against cancer nearly 20 years ago. Some Panthers players recently helped relay that message to fans fighting their own battles in this week's Coke Community Spotlight. DJ Chark, LaVisca Chenault, and Nick Thurman visited the Atrium Levine's Cancer Institute in Charlotte last week to help brighten the day for some of the patients there. They brought Panthers gear with them, spent some time signing autographs, taking some pictures, and just chatting.
I'm from Cherryville. Well, actually from Asheville, but I live in Cherryville.
The visit was well received by both patients and the staff.
I mean, here you guys are, man.
Nah, for sure, appreciate it.
It was part of the Panthers and the NFL's Crucial Catch campaign this October, encouraging people to get screened and take steps to reduce their risk of the disease. Also, to show these Panthers fans that they're not alone in the fight. Keep pounding! Coming up, Coach Frank Reich joins us in studio. His message to the team as they fight to climb out of a 5-game losing streak. And Frankie Louvu weighs in on the hottest topic in the NFL.
Do you know any Taylor Swift songs? If you,
I'm feeling 22.
hey! Yes. And here's the best part about that. That's my favorite Taylor Swift song. That is,
Hey, that's
that was
the only...
not planned. That was the best. Yes, awesome.
Hey, y'all, you know what I mean?
This exclusive presentation of the Carolina Panthers television network is brought to you in part by Bank of America, official bank of the Carolina Panthers.
It may seem like all doom and gloom this season, but Coach Frank Reich has been down this road before. He talks to our own Anish Shroff about his experience and why he's embracing that keep pounding mindset.
We're joined by Panthers head coach Frank Reich. I want to start with just on a human level, Chandler Zavala's injury. When it happened, everybody in the building stopped. What was it like watching that initially from your vantage point?
I mean, it was scary. You know, you approach him on the field, you can see he's not moving. And so, you know, immediately you have great concern. Probably 30 seconds after that, I saw him move an arm, you know, so I thought, okay, good, you know. And then, of course, the medical team was phenomenal, did a great job. So we're just thankful everything worked out.
When you saw him not just get released from the hospital, but be on the team plane back home?
It was great. You know, had a chance to kind of go back and visit with him on the plane. And, you know, he still was in a little bit of a brace thing, but, you know, as precaution. But he was in great spirits, and even coming off the field, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys heard this, but he was giving a charge to the guys, you know, just to show the kind of guy he was.
I know from your game planning standpoint, now that position's been hit pretty hard. So who's next man up at guard?
You know, Throck has done a good job, and then Cade's, you know, stepped in last week, and so it'll likely be Cade. You know, he came in and did a good job. I thought the O-line last week really played pretty well, you know, in that game. So we'll continue to build from there.
Perspective's a strange word in today's day and age because society doesn't want it. You have to have it. So how do you keep it when everybody is only about the here and now?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to have deep convictions and belief in what you're doing and who you're doing it with. And we have that, you know, and some of that, where does that come from? Well, it comes from, some of it just comes from years of experience and seeing things turn around and being through rough starts in a season before that can not only turn to good things in the same year that you're in, but can also turn to good things in future years. I think experience is the best teacher, but then it's also a matter of personal conviction. That experience is not only having been part of turnarounds, but knowing what it takes and knowing, like looking at the guys and saying, do we have the core guys here to build on? And I know we have that.
So Indianapolis, it was similar, right? 1-5 that first year, and then you end up going to the playoffs. What do you remember about a turning point in that season where you said, okay, all these pieces where you've been close, now it clicks?
You know, it's interesting. You know, we always talk 0-0, 1-0, right? You know, everybody talks that language all the time. But then you go through something and it brings it to life even more. And that's what happened, for instance, in that season. It was that kind of 1-0 mentality because that's all you're left with. And so, you know, the good news is for us is, you know, right, we've been talking about that. So, you know, now you start to get in a position where, hey, this is where we are. This is a week-to-week league. That's good and bad. So, you know, we got to take it all for the good. It doesn't, you know, the 0-0 thing is, okay, we are where we're at with our record, but we go into this week, like that hasn't happened. Let's just play a one-game season and keep doing that week after week.
When you hear guys in the locker room use words like frustrated as a head coach, what's your messaging to those guys who obviously want to win just as bad as you do?
Yeah, stay the course. Keep working. I mean, this is life. You've been through this. You've already been through this in your personal life. You've been through this, you know, on other teams you've been on, more than likely at some point along the way. So let's take an attitude that this is going to make us better. We don't have to like it. We shouldn't like it. So use that fuel, that disgust, that, you know, that frustration, use that as fuel, but stay focused on getting better. You have to stick to the process. If you get so obsessed with the results, it just ends up being counterproductive. You've seen that time and time again. All the great coaches from way back when, that's stick to the process, the results follow.
Last thing, Coach, you used the words in your press conference after the game, keep pounding. That's the ethos of this franchise. As you think about it and you think of Sam Mills, what does keep pounding mean in this moment?
Well, that's what I was thinking about, that it's not easy, and that you have to believe that you can have an impact, that if you keep pounding, it will have an impact on you personally, on the people around you, and the ripple effect of that. So, but that's why the whole key to me, and knowing Sam, having played with Sam, not being here when he gave that speech, but just knowing him as a player and as a teammate and as a captain of our team, was he just had that kind of impact. And it didn't matter what the circumstance was going to be, that's who he was. And I think, man, that comes to life now as much as ever.
Yeah, keep pounding.
Closed captioning for the Panthers television network is provided by Charlotte Eye, Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates, helping you enjoy the sights and sounds of the NFL all season long.
Well, if we've ever needed a week for film study, it's definitely this week against the Miami Dolphins. It's time for TD's Film Room. And TD, let's start with the good news about this game. There is a particular player that will not be on the field on Sunday.
That is absolutely good news. With the way that this kid, A-Chain, has been playing, he has been phenomenal. To me, he has been the lead candidate with C.J. Stroud to be the Offensive Player of the Year, based on the numbers that he's been able to put up in the first few weeks as a football player in the NFL. But this Miami offense is absolutely loaded. And when I tell you that these guys are loaded, they have weapons all over the field. And just because they lost their star rookie running back, they have another running back that can take it to distance from anywhere on the field. Raheem Mostert is arguably the fastest player in all of football. I mean, Tyreek Hill might argue with that, but if you see this guy, you watch what he was just able to do. Watch how he just effortlessly outraced the entire defense into the end zone. This is what Miami has as a football team. They have guys that can take it the distance from any point on the field. So our defense has to be sound, and they have to be sound all over the field. Speaking of being sound, these are the kind of things that you can't allow this Miami offense to force you into. Because right here, we know Robbie Anderson very well. Robbie is not a guy that you need to dedicate two players to. I have a lot of respect for Robbie. I love what he brings to the game. But if you're going to leave this guy wide open, you're in for a bad day. And that's one of the things this Panther defense cannot allow to happen. We got to keep Tyreek Hill in front of us this entire game because we know how explosive he is. We know that this offense has already in this season put up 70 points on the team. Yes, 70 points they put up on the Denver Broncos. We cannot allow that to happen. When we talk about being fast, this is what you call track speed. This team is built for speed and built for big plays. Another play from Tyreek Hill, but guess what? This team also have Jalen Waddle. They went out, they didn't get content with who they had on the roster. Chase Claypool became available. They said, come on, we need a possession receiver. We'll take another big first rounder to add to our offense. And Mike McDaniels absolutely has these guys rolling. Defensively, we have to go out. We have to play a complete game. We have to make sure that we're not letting these guys get behind us, that we're playing sound defense. And when we come up, we have to be good in our tackles.
You mentioned how fast they are. How do you beat speed if you're the defense in this game?
You got to have a great game plan. You got to keep these guys in front of you. You got to tell your cornerbacks, stay as deep as the deepest. Teams like this, they don't want to dink and dunk. They don't want to do those things continuously down the field. They want their shots. They want their big plays. So how do you defeat them? You take those big plays away. You force them to do things underneath, and you force them to make mistakes, and you get after the quarterback.
Absolutely. All right, we have reviewed the film. TD, don't go anywhere. We got to get your 3 keys to the game coming up.
See you soon.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you heard that Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift? Does that cross your timeline?
Man, I just know that man be pulling all sorts of chicks, man. But I heard the news, and I think they cool together. They click.
Do you think he knows any Taylor Swift songs?
I think he do.
Do you know any Taylor Swift songs?
I'm feeling 22. Hey!
Yes. And here's the best part about that. That's my favorite Taylor Swift song. That is.
Hey, that's
that was
the only...
not planned. That was the best. All right, do you have a celebrity crush? Like,
yeah.
Or maybe you have a lot of celebrity crushes. Where would we? Where would we start?
J-Lo be my number one.
Okay.
And then Blake Lively.
Okay. That's a pretty good top two.
Oh yeah. And then I think
they're unfortunately right now. I think you've only picked married women, so you might have to find a single woman in there.
I mean, sorry, man. That's.
See,
I gotta go with that.
Oos, my brother. Thank you. This was great. Thanks, guys. Keep pounding.
Let's go.
Gee.
In years past, a trip to Detroit would have been considered a good way to break a slump. Unfortunately for the Panthers, that is not the case any longer. Here's a look back at our loss to the Lions in this week's Bojangles Rewind.
Here at Ford Field, the task is pretty Herculean today. Detroit's one of the better football teams in the NFL. Carolina's still looking for that first win. They hope to get it in Motown. Panthers on defense for the first time. The Lions come out for their first offensive drive. David Montgomery bounces to the outside. He's got room, running down the left sideline. Touchdown, Detroit.
When you're playing a team like this, you have to be super gap sound. A misstep by us in the run game.
Young looking short. It's intercepted. Screen pass picked off by Hutchinson, and the Lions take over. Goff throwing left side. He's got Laporta, who angles in for a touchdown. 13-0 Detroit. Bryce Young. This is what you want to see, Luke. He threw the interception on the last drive. Well, he's come out, and he's 4 for 4 on this drive. Young will throw, end zone, touchdown, Tommy Trimble. You talk about a bounce back, Luke.
Keep that rolling.
Here's the snap. Give is to Sanders through the left side of the line, and gobbled up. The ball came out. Detroit picks it up. It's Goff, throws back to the end zone. It is caught for a touchdown. That's Josh Reynolds, and it's 20-7 Detroit. Now, there have been some positives, but those positives have just been blunted and erased by the turnovers. Young looking left, throwing left, intercepted, picked off by Detroit. It's the third turnover of the first half. Trick playoff sudden change. Goff to Laporta. Touchdown Detroit. 27-7. Turnovers have been the bane for the Panthers in this first half. So Detroit, they'll take an 18-point lead into the locker room. This first drive could be a determining factor as to if the Panthers can muster up a comeback. And it's a touchdown for Detroit. It's been that kind of day. 35-10, Lions lead the Panthers. It's just imperative the way this season has gone. Get out of here with a little bit of momentum. Pressure from the backside and the sack by Brian Burns. Corner blitz and the sack by C.J. Henderson. Young fires a bullet to the end zone. It's DJ Chark, and he's got it for a touchdown. Chark with his second touchdown grab as a Panther. This one comes against the team that he played for last season.
Mingo runs a good route, convert a first down. A couple big catches today, but that's exactly what we brought him in here to do.
Thielen quick out. Young to Thielen for a touchdown. 42-24. Panthers remain winless. 0-5 now to start the season. The road does not get easier. They're on the road next week to take on maybe the most explosive offense the NFL has seen since the greatest show on turf and the Miami Dolphins.
All right, TD, we talked a lot about the Miami Dolphins. Now we've got to talk about how we actually beat them. So how do we do that?
You know, it's really simple to beat the Miami Dolphins, if you ask me. You have to stop these guys from scoring points. That's the one thing that they have done so well all season long. The way that you do that, though, is offensively. First key point, you have to take care of the football. You can't give this team extra possessions. You just cannot. They're going to take advantage of the ones that they already have, so we can't give them ours as well. So we have to protect the football. We can't throw interceptions. We can't fumble the football. We know that's football 101. You have to protect the football. Secondly, defensively, we have not created enough turnovers. In which has left us behind in the turnover battle. When you have a minus margin in the turnover battle, you're usually not going to have a ton of wins, and that's where we're sitting at right now. So defensively, we have to do the things necessary to take the football away, whether it's punching the football out, whether it's reading the quarterback, reacting, taking the ball away. Those are two keys that I know are going to be beneficial for this team. But third and final point, we have to eliminate Tyreek Hill by getting after Tua. We can't allow Tua to be comfortable. Every game that he struggled in were against teams that got a lot of pressure on him, that got after him, that knocked him down, that put him on the ground. This is what this defense has to do. We have to get after Tua. We have to make him uncomfortable. He's the head of that snake. And when you cut the head off the snake, the body is dead.
You make it sound so simple. Hopefully the Panthers do that this weekend. Unfortunately, that is all the time we've got for you. Remember, if you're not lucky enough to be in Miami this weekend, be sure to tune in on Sunday at 1 p.m. on your local CBS station, or you can listen to the game on 99.7 The Fox here in Charlotte. So for Thomas Davis, Coach Frank Reich, and the entire Huddle crew, thanks for watching, and we'll see you right here next time inside the Panthers Huddle. As always, TD,
keep pounding.
You've been watching the Panthers Huddle, a copyrighted presentation of the Carolina Panthers and the NFL.